Hello again, Bike Fitness Coaching. Today we're going to talk about power meters, specifically dual-sided or single-sided. What got me prompted on this video is I saw another video this morning from GCN Tech. There's today on power meters, tubeless sealant, and carbon bike lifespan. We're also going to talk about what is a power meter, pedal versus crank-based power meter. So I want to determine which one you want. What type do you want within the pedal? Do you want dual-sided, single-sided, or crank-based dual-sided or single-sided? We're going to discuss that, some choices, some closing thoughts. Now, a good reference for power meters I found is powermetercity.com. There's no affiliation, but I find this a good resource. They have a lot of good material, plus basically every power meter that's made for cyclists available on their site. So start off with what is a power meter. It is a strain gauge. Here's a good picture of one. This is what's inside the little tab that's on the non-drive side inside of the crank arm. It's a very small and sensitive foil with a defined electric resistance. So when you push down on the crank arm, you're actually deforming the crank arm, and it is sensitive enough to determine how much force you're applying because of an electrical resistance change. So when you're bending this, you're lengthening or shortening these contacts or these wires and changing the resistance. It knows how much force was applied to change the resistance. That data is then sent to the cycle computer, which provides further calculations, which is then displayed to the cyclist. So GCN's points were pedals, no; pedal-based power meters, no; crank arm-based power meters, yes. Why? They claim due to crash damaging pedals. So in a crash, you would damage these pedals and you'd have to throw out the power meter and get a new one, supposedly. So I'm an expert witness for a San Diego-based attorney specializing in bicycle personal injury cases related to crashes. If you want to look him up, 911law.com. He's actually an attorney that goes to court and goes to trial over bicycle cases instead of just trying to settle out of court. He really represents the cyclist well. So I've seen my share of crash damaged bicycles as well as injured cyclists. So what takes the brunt of the damage? The answer is that which sticks out the furthest, i.e. shoes, your ankles, your knees, your hips, your elbows, your wrists, your hands. And also I see a lot of crash damage and broken helmets. When the cyclist hits the ground, their head goes flying back and the helmet usually smacks the ground and is cracked and destroyed, thereby saving the cyclist's head. So in direct contradiction to all these comments, I find that the pedals always survive, even if a crank arm is bent. I found some internet photos. Here is a photo of a broken in 3 pieces Orbea. It will hit so hard it appears that here is the top tube and here's the rest of the top tube. Here is the bottom of the seat tube. Here's the top of the seat tube. Here's the seat post, saddle. Here is part of the rear triangle, the rear brake. Here's the rest of the rear triangle. Bike was hit so hard it tacoed the wheel, yet the pedals still survived. How could that be? Because the cyclist took the damage, not the bicycle pedals. Another example, here is another internet photo. Here's some shoes. Were completely destroyed in some kind of a crash. And it appears that if you look at it, the cleats are still in one piece, still good. So more than likely the pedals were still good. The shoes were destroyed, but the pedals were protected by the shoes. I don't know what the cyclist looked like himself, but this is quite a bit of damage to cause this much damage. There's a lot of blunt force trauma to the cyclist. In fact, it tore off the boa of the shoe. So dual-sided or single-sided. Most cyclists coming in for a bike fit have muscle imbalances. Everyone has a dominant leg or stronger leg, and quite a few cyclists pedal at 60-40, 60% with the dominant leg, 40% with the weaker leg. So let's do a little thought experiment. Rough numbers, but you'll get the point. Let's say a cyclist FTP is 300, a nice round number. A cyclist running a left-sided or non-drive side, single-sided power meter. So you have the left crank arm has the power meter embedded. There's nothing on the right side or drive side of the bike. Let's say in this case, the left leg is the dominant leg. In this case over here, the right leg is the dominant leg. Let's say, for example, the left leg is putting out 200 watts, the right leg is putting out 100 watts. What is being reported to the head unit or the cycle computer? In this case, left leg, non-dominant leg, is putting out 100. The right leg, dominant leg, is putting out 200. What's being reported to the cycle computer or head unit? I'll give you a second here to fill in the blanks. The answer is the single-sided power meter will essentially take the only information it has is 200 watts, and it knows you have two legs. 200 times 2 is 400 watts it's going to report. In this case, 100 watts, you have two legs. 100 times 2 is 200, so what's being reported is 200. In this case, you would be under training. In this case, you would be overtraining. As an example, if a coach is telling you to do 10 minutes at your FTP or 100% FTP or at 300 watts, and you're pedaling at 300 watts, presumably 200 plus 100, and it's being reported 400, you're going to back off until this number is 300. So now you're under training. In this case, you'd be overtraining. You're putting out 300 watts, but what's being reported is 200, so you're going to push another 100 watts into the exercise to try to hit 300, and now you'll be overtraining. So here's one of the problems with a single-sided power meter if you don't have exactly 50-50 power input from each leg. So which one is best, single-sided, dual-sided? It really depends on what you're looking to do with the power meter. Are you looking at actually doing real training with a real coach, or are you looking at on Saturday ride from the harbor to the coffee shop, kind of showing your friends, hey, look at what I did on this ride today? A single-sided, like we talked about, you could be reporting 400 to 200. A dual-sided is always going to take left plus right equals total. Left plus right equals total. So this is what the dual-sided will report. This is what a single-sided will report, regardless if it's pedal system or a crank system, crank-based power meter system. The conclusion: pedal power meters are okay to purchase and use. There's nothing to worry about. Don't worry about crash damage. Don't worry about destroying the pedals if the bike falls over. They're going to be okay. I recommend and use, and I've used for years, Assioma Favero Duos, high quality bulletproof power meters, as well as rotor twin power. They always run, they always turn on, both of these always connect right away. I've never had any issues with either one of these two power meters. So with that, we will see you in the next video.